who, with his Rich Men North of Richmond track, landed a #1 song. Not #1 country song, #1 whatever song, a #1 song. Now, since putting this track out and it blowing up, he has become quite the darling of the conservative crowd. He's been embraced.
Oh, this is 2 days ago. Like, this is a little weird. I guess it kind of leads into a segment where I was going to do the Joe Rogan thing, too. But, yeah, we reviewed that whole thing. People are, first of all, very annoying about this whole topic. I made a video going through it and reviewing it. And after looking at it, I read through the lyrics, and it seems like this Anthony guy, it seems like, excuse me, the Oliver Anthony guy, not Fantano. He seems like a nice dude who just made a song that speaks out against the government. I watched him have a like he talked about how like people, the conservatives, were weaponizing it, and it's about them too. They're part of the it doesn't seem like a. It seems like a pretty solid tune. I don't know. It's pretty good. It's a bop too. People are crying about it, mostly in the direction where like I was so weird. People are like, you just don't get it. You just don't get it. This song is about America. And I'm like, I what? I was like, what have you watched my video? I don't know, but either way, Anthony Fantano's take was understandable because at the time I got the whole Northmen north of Richmond, because that's the first thing that I would have thought too, was that, you know, it was like north versus south. But as he explains it, it's just basically the tune supposed to be criticizing people from DC.
Based by pretty much every right-wing talking head on the internet, and this song was even brought up at the recent GOP debate.
Yeah. And the guy spoke out against it.
But now that he's receiving all of this right-wing attention, it seems like he doesn't really like it. He's been on TV talking about how he loves diversity, and diversity is our strength as a country. And he's come out with a video.
The problem that I have already with the framing of this is that Anthony Fantano is pushing the idea that this person intentionally made an anti-Democrat, pro-Republican song, and then when he got pushed back, he decided it was for everybody. When I think it's more reasonable and more human to just say like, oh, he made like an anti-government song, but he's from the South, so some of that Southern twang carries into it and makes us feel like it's an anti-Democrat sentiment, but we were wrong about our interpretation, and he seems like a genuine nice guy that's just trying to make a song expressing the way that he feels. Yeah, the welfare fat thing was just funny. Like, that's most people feel, like, a lot of people feel that way. It doesn't make it like right. Welfare is still a good thing overall. It is broken though. And when you see, you know, people who are middle class complain about welfare, like, that is the class divide. That is the rich people making us go, look at those poor people. They're the problem, when it's really rich people. But to assume that he's like this bad guy, like poor intention guy, that's what's happening here. That's what Anthony's doing. He's trying to make it seem like he can't just concede and say like, oh, I'm wrong. He's setting this tone that like, no, I was right. This guy's just grifting now. Like, why assume that? Why is that the first thing you assume?
You know, rejecting the right-wing embrace of his song. And he's come out on Twitter saying he's not on either side. Don't obsess over me. And from him, as well as some of his fans,
he doesn't really even say he's on either side. He says this is about like the middle class, basically. Like, I don't
fans who are still standing by him at this point. There seems to be this implication that you know, people who are reading right-wing views in this track are misinterpreting.
Yeah,
but I think so. This totally tracks. Because, like, again,
Anthony is like such a disconnected fucking person.
In the lyrics, you attack recipients of food benefits.
I love the framing. I love the framing. You attacked recipients of welfare. This is the most disconnected line that Anthony Fantano is ever going to tell you in his entire life, and I'm going to explain to you why. There is the real world interpretation of events, and then there is the systemic interpretation of events, right? The real world interpretation of events is, hey, I've experienced a thing and I see this, it's in my proximity, and I criticize it. And so there's a lot of middle class people who are angry at poor people. Is it right? No. But it's just a very real thing to go look at this guy. I mean, first of all, you see poor people more than you see poor people begging for money in nice clothes or being fat more than you see rich pieces of shit stealing from you. And so it's a tactic from I think like people at the top to try to redirect people's angers. But it's just kind of the thing you see. It's not really a Democrat or Republican talking point. There's plenty of Democrats who walk around the street and go like, "Oh man, like look at this guy." No, you know what I mean? And there are people who take advantage of the welfare system. It's just that those people tend to be rich, right? Underpaying people, so they have to be on welfare. Like Walmart underpays people. They have to be on welfare and work for Walmart. It's a very interesting thing. You know, there's this idea in our society that like socialism is bad when like businesses engage in socialism. If they do well, they reap the benefits. If they fail, they get bailed out by us. Right, but it's just like a real thing that our people are seeing. It's not really super political. It's just the on the ground perspective people are seeing. Does it make it right? No, but that's just what it is. But to say like this is an attack on welfare, no, man, it's just kind of like the experience of a person. And then there's the systemic view to like all the shit that I've been talking about, the different systemic aspects. Not everybody is engaged with those. And the problem is that people online, they're so fucking terminally online and they're so like privileged and they forget what it's like to be a person. Right? It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it correct what Oliver Anthony is expressing necessarily when he complains about welfare, though I think that there are some things to complain about. But this idea that it is politically weaponized, which is the heavy undertone from Anthony Fantano, that's the sad part. It's like he's so terminally fucking online, he forgot what it's like to be a dude who's not popular that gets a lot of popularity. You know, you lose yourself in that. And now, because he has such a big ego, he can't just say, you know what, maybe I am wrong. He's got TOBS. Terminally online behavior syndrome.
You do draw a distinction between the northern and southern regions of the country. What kind of ideological split do you think people were supposed to, glean from that? And
no, I agree with that. Like, I thought it was a right-leaning piece until he explained it. But again, I just think that that's because it was country and he's from the South, so he has a little bit more of a Southern perspective and a Southern twang in the way he, expresses himself. But then after he explained it, I'm like, oh, my bad. That's not a big deal to just take the L.
And 3, it's already been spilled out all over the internet that this track's popularity and it being pushed through the right-wing media pipelines that it was due very large in part to this Jason Howerton guy, a Richmond South of Richmond, who is a well-connected and well-funded political operative dude.
Who cares? That guy co-opted his song and pushed it. He stole it. What are you talking about?
Even Dan Bongo over here co-signed this fact.
Who cares?
Anyway, it seems like Oliver Anthony is not really liking the company that he is keeping at the moment. And if he is going to wriggle his way out of this whole thing,
wriggle.
I'm not sure how he's going to do it. Right-wingers are not going to like you rejecting them. Anybody on the other side has already heard some of the grosser lyrics in your song.
Their lyrics aren't that gross. What the lyric talking about Epstein's Island? Okay, it's a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but maybe it's real. I don't know. I'm not particularly offended by elites. Well, I would be offended if they were doing that, but I'm not offended for the elites if it's a false claim.
And the damage has already kind of been done by you allowing this Howerton guy to, exploit your music in the way that he did. You don't get a first introduction. Plus, recently we did see.
Well, not if you're some dumb piece of shit that's not going to give him the benefit of the doubt and just try to tell his audience that he's wrong.
A somewhat historic fall off from the #1 spot from Jason Aldean's "Try That in a Small Town," because obviously there was a lot of attention being drawn toward that track due to its controversy, which I think is going to also be the case for Richmond too. I suppose there is also the option of just kind of playing things straight and signing a contract, going into the country industry, but I don't know if there's a label on that side of music that's going to let him write songs about welfare queens and fat people. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like Oliver.
Thank you for being offended for us. I really needed that, Anthony Fantano. Thank you so much.
Anthony is having to kind of sleep in the bed that he made here. Yeah.
All right, Anthony Fantano is a fucking loser. He's a loser with an ego problem that can't take an L. He's even the framing of this, even if it was true that he made like a right-leaning song and now he's disavowing the company he's keeping because he realizes it's toxic. How are you still going to have a negative inflection on that? Like, that's just...
Hey, everyone, Anthony Fantano.
That's desperate. That's all it is. That's desperate. That's desperately just trying to hate this guy just because he potentially leans more conservatively. Yeah, he's such a baby. I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna lead that into this Joe Rogan clip where he talked about Oliver Anthony.
The Joe Rogan experience.
Or they talk together.
And you're going to have to deal with that soon. Because I guarantee you there's going to be some people that are making some CGI.
Oh, there are. There already
out
are.
there?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
What is that? I'm sure there are.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with a lot just because, I'm doing... So anything social media related right now, or any internet presence I have right now is coming from me off the phone just like before everything blew up. So I haven't invested the time to like look at everything circulating, but people like friends and family have sent me stuff, and some of it's pretty funny, but they've got all these different AI remixes of the song.
Oh yeah, there's one where it's actually about him sucking dick or something. I've seen one of the AI videos. It's weird.
Different voices and overlaid different faces and all, and it's funny to see where it's going to go.
That is funny. Yeah, you're gonna have to deal with that. My daughter sent me some advertisement. She goes, "Did you do this advertisement?" I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah.
Nope, that's not really my voice.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
it is my
the
voice,
day after the day after things blew up, one of the towing companies had.
That's what I keep saying. If you ever hear me saying bigoted or horrible things on the internet, it was not me. It was a deep fake. It was AI. Don't trust the mainstream media, guys. I'm telling you.
Had an ad on Facebook that had it wasn't really me, but it was a red beard and like the side profile of sunglasses looking out the window. I'm like, okay,
how dare you?
I guess I've made it anyway. That's when I realized like people are already ripping things off. And what's crazy is like every shirt that I've worn anywhere in public, there's a organization that I'm not like officially related to or in any way have done anything with, but it's a friend of a friend in the neighborhood. It's called Nets with Vets, and they take out veterans with PTSD and let them go deep sea fishing. And so
and then they go like this. This way they can live in the past, just like all old people like to do. Gives them an excuse to tell them war stories. Sorry, it's a little insensitive.
He asked me last minute just to wear his shirt at one of the concerts. And do you know now there's like 1,500 listings online for counterfeit Nets with Vets shirts?
That's
and so the
crazy.
organization reached out like, hey, are you like making shirts, ripping us off? It's like, it's not me. So it's like, it's a weird thing. But I've already experienced a lot of that stuff. Not so much on the AI side, but just, I don't know, the internet's just such a rowdy place,
Oh, it's so rowdy. The world's a rowdy place.
It is. And maybe people bring their best and their worst on the internet. Like, I've always tried to stay off social media as much as possible, but I've learned very quickly that like Twitter and Facebook and stuff like you see comments and feedback from people, both overwhelmingly positive that maybe you wouldn't get in a personal conversation, but also like overwhelmingly negative too.
Yeah.
People just use that as a vent. They just take whatever seething hatred they have inside of them. They're like, oh, I'm getting that guy with it.
If you had a song just about love that resonated like that, it would be almost impossible to hate you. But you have a song where you're talking about how people are fed up with shit.
Yeah,
and
that's how I
obviously resonated. I mean, I've seen songs go viral, but that's pretty bananas, son. your shit went to the moon right away. And God, I'm not sure who sent it to me. I'll have to find out who sent it to me, because it's one of those things where like once one person sent it to me, then it was like dozens of people were sending it to me.
It's funny because originally that song wasn't really even in my top 5. Like, it's not normally the type of song. I've written songs with similar messages, but as far as that sort of,
I feel that, man. It's always the stuff that you put out that you don't expect to pop. That pops up the butt.
Like, I guess anthem format is what people are calling it. It's like an anthem. Like, that's not something I would normally write, but
it's an unlikely anthem.
Yeah,
insane times. It would be an unlikely anthem.
Yeah, I had no idea that song would react the way it did. At least in my case, I think the one thing that's helped me too is that my singing isn't the best, but I've never had.
$1.99.
Where was that from? Oh, thank you. How old is that?
Hannawit super chatted $10.
Hey, thank you so much.
I finally got a job after being laid off. Got paid plus a hiring bonus. Have some to celebrate with me and as a thanks for all the entertainment.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm happy you got a job. I was tired of you sitting around the house being goddamn lazy. No, I'm just kidding. Good for you. That's good that you got a job. That shit sucks when you're unemployed and you don't know what the fuck you're gonna do,
And any like vocal lessons or anything. So the way I sing is just the way I sing. And so like I think even the same way with her and other people, it's like it's maybe rough around the edges, it could be a little pitchy, or it's you're not using the right part of your face when you project and whatever. And so like on paper things aren't quite right, but to another human it's like it sounds right because it's pretty good. It is what it is,
It's authentic.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any right way to do anything. I mean, it's like you see it in everything. There's a person who violates the rules, and they're the best at it.
and then the rules almost morph into whatever that is. Like, it's funny. Like with music, music has. Country in particular, but music in general has gotten way too wrapped up in like this algorithm of how many beats per minute it needs to have and how many verses and how they need to be layered, and it's like they've almost created this sort of like industry standard.
He's coming after country music the way that country music fans come after rap music.
Like OSHA rulebook of how music needs to be performed, and so like you can only do that so many thousands of times before people are like, okay, what else is there? You know?
Well, people like that too. That's the thing. There's a lot of damn people. There's a lot of people. The problem, I think, with a lot of people is they want you to like what they like. And if you don't like what they like, what you like sucks. It's funny like that, man.
True that.
We're so tribal. We are tribal with our cell phones. You know, we're an Android or PC. You know, Android people have to stick together. It's like we're so weird. We're so weird. But we're like that with our musical taste. We're like that with our cultural sensitivities or cultural sensibilities, rather, like the way we feel about life and how life should be. We want everybody to kind of think along the ways that we think. It's very strange. And when a person like yourself gets labeled a right-wing, left-wing fanatic, like right out of the gate,
both in like a week and a half, then at least I know I'm doing something right. Like to me,
they're looking for your Biden campaign contributions now. They're going through your fucking tax.
Oh, is that what happened? People like flipped on him because he disavowed he just criticized everybody. Or he disavowed the conservatives jerking off his song. Is that what it was? Or not the conservatives. He could disavow the political party, the GOP, I guess, right? So
It's the whole thing is so bonkers, man. Like, can't they just accept that you made a great song and people enjoy it?
Yeah.
Why does it? Why do people have to attack?
Well, I think it's just for whatever reason I'm the subject matter the last couple of weeks, and in everyone's defense, I probably haven't. I've waited for this opportunity, I guess, to really have a real conversation with somebody about whatever it is I am. So people are just trying to find.
I mean, it's hard to find somebody on the internet that's gonna have a real conversation with you. I think Joe Rogan's probably the best person that you could really do that with. Like, you could criticize Joe Rogan as much as you want, but he's probably the most normal, real dude out there. Like, that's just he's really not trying to be biased in any capacity. I think he has his own biases just like the rest of us, but I don't think he wants to have a bias. He's just kind of chilling, being chilling.
Who's this Oliver Anthony guy, and what is he, and where does he work, and who did he vote for, and what's his family like, and yada, because they want to sort of build this image of whatever it is that the person behind the song represents, for better or for worse.
Right.
The people who agree with it want to. I don't know. It's really funny to watch on my end because obviously I know what's true and what's not, and so like just even what I've skimmed through of people sending me like singing at the Super Bowl, like how many people have formed an opinion about whether or not I should be paid to sing at the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not singing at the Super Bowl. That's just something somebody made up. But
I mean, that'd be cool, man. I'd sing at the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter how bad I am. I'll take the money. Doesn't matter.
There's been hundreds of hours of people's time wasted probably talking about all these little like things that don't even exist. It's just somebody made them up and put them on the internet, and so I'm just letting them ride. I think it's great.
It's wild.
I just think it's great. Like that, at least the last couple of weeks, I've been able to entertain everyone and get everyone's mind off like all the other horrible stuff that's going on in the world right now. Like at least everybody can have a good laugh, So
well, I mean, it's
like they're permanently discontinuing the McRib. That's the biggest issue I'm facing right now. I don't even know if that's true. I just made that up. But you probably got upset. Shows what your priorities are. Pathetic. Pathetic, guys. Come on.
It's a subject of discussion. So, like, everybody is getting involved. And somehow or another it became cultural. And then there was Dwight from The Office.
Oh, yeah.
He chimed in that if he was going to write a cultural anthem, what did he say? Something like he wouldn't write about overweight people on welfare. He would write about billionaires and their taxes.
Yeah.
There's nothing funnier than millionaires talking shit about billionaires. There's nothing funnier about millionaires pretending these billionaires are out of touch.
Oh yeah.
And then
I mean, that is true. I mean, listen, that is funny. It's so funny, bro, because I again, it's like this disconnect from fucking reality. I really mean it. Like, I understand that like the rich are objectively a bigger problem than poor people, but it's like we forgot. Who do we see the most? That's the thing. It's not right, but it's like people assign, like, weaponize it so much. Don't you dare touch that. I will fuck you. But people assign such like a narrative to it. Dude, this guy's being a real piece of shit. They assign like a negative narrative to it, where it's like people. It's just in proximity. Like, Write your own song, Dwight from The Office. What did you do after that? You made a stupid superhero show. It was lame. The show sucked about how you were a guy with a wrench. You're an asshole. You stink, bitch.
Take Dwight from The Office down to West Virginia. You know, take him through those coal mining countries. Take him through those places in Appalachia where people have extreme poverty.
Yeah.
And pills have ravished those areas. Take him through there.
And it's everywhere. Yeah, the sad thing is it's everywhere now. It's not.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. People right off the get-go, I guess because it was Radio WV that posted the original video, but like I've never once advertised myself as being necessarily from the mountains. My grandfather grew up in western part of Virginia, in the mountains, but I'm from Farmville, which is technically Piedmont. But even throughout rural Virginia, that poverty is a big issue and drugs are a big issue. And I mean, it's not just even in the rural areas. You go into downtown Richmond or any downtown anywhere for that matter. It's almost like, these problems exist everywhere now and I think, I mean, obviously they are because that's why the song resonated the way it did. The problem for me was, I knew that I needed to do this. Like I knew I needed to, I procrastinated with music a long time. I mean, I'm 31. I've been playing guitar and singing on and off since I was a kid. Like my grandma was in a band years ago, and so like I remember as a little kid, what got me interested in all of it was going, Dukes of Hazzard when I was a kid. I was like 5, and I used to sit with my grandma and we'd sit and watch Dukes of Hazzard and watch Waylon Jennings.
Yeah, for sure. People abuse welfare, and there's people who are barely above the poverty line who can't get health insurance. Yeah, it's true. Listen, I've known people who have abused welfare programs and welfare systems. That doesn't mean that they're the main problem, but like that's what people are seeing, bro. So of course they're gonna complain about that more than anything else. Like Jesus Christ, it's not like the disagreement with the guy that's the issue. It's the way that people are disagreeing in this. Like I'm better than you. Oh, you complain about people on welfare? Well, I'm better than you. I would complain about the rich people because they're worse. You are rich. Like fuck off. You know what I mean? It's the richest people that are giving him the most shit in the most condescending way. The most disconnected fucks that do the least that they can to actually do any type of change. So shut the fuck up, you know?
Let's pick that guitar. Of course, I had no idea who Waylon Jennings was, but that just like, I just fell in love with that. And so grew up listening to like that 70s country, and she loved all the old stuff like the 50s and 60s and even in the 70s, even, Janis and all that. And so like she really introduced me
Janis
a lot into music when I
Joplin?
was a little kid. And so like I just kind of held on to it, but never pursued it the way I should. And then I'd play at a bonfire party or I'd play at whatever, it's a friend's house, and everybody's like, man, you got to do something with this. You don't want to waste this talent you've got and whatever. And that would almost make me feel even shittier because I'm like, oh man, I suck. Like I'm such a piece of crap for not doing something with this. And so yeah, like when I was outside of work, it's like I'd drink, I'd get just absolutely stoned, and I would just sit around and try to think about anything but what it was that I really needed to be doing, which was like, and so it's kind of like funny, but that's ended up what kind of sparked me into like writing all these songs and doing all this stuff, because it's like I don't know, just like with you, probably with what you do, jiu-jitsu or whatever, it's like for me, songwriting it gets my head, like you said, getting your head clear, because that's all you can. And songwriting is interesting for different people, but now that I've been in the industry for 2 weeks and I've talked to like
now that you've been in the industry, you conquered it.
Now that I'm an industry expert, it's like some of the other musicians I've talked to, like the people I've looked up to over the years, they experience this too. But certain people, when you songwrite, it's a very I
thank you so much, Diabetic Survivor, for the 9 months small gut. Papa is a career for the people, not the rich. Exactly. All right? That's why I can never become rich, or else I'll look like a hypocrite. Dude, let's just hope that I make it. Let's hope I become one of those Richmond from north of Richmond. Oh my goodness, I'm just joking around. Yeah, I'm for the people. I don't know if I'll always be for. Well, it's one of those things where I wonder, like, if fame like really corrupts you to this point where you just become so disconnected, like unintentionally. You know what I mean? I just hope I never. I always want to be condescending to people that are stupid, but I never want to be condescending to the people. You know what I mean? So.
It's dramatic. Like,
do you write all your own songs?
Yeah, but it's.
Have you been accused of not writing your own songs?
Very early on, yeah, because since my I guess it's not even my stage name. It's Oliver Anthony Music, and so it's supposed to represent music from Oliver Anthony Music as my grandfather, and so he grew up in the 30s in the mountains and used to tell all these wild stories about how life was back then. But the music's just sort of a characterization of like that period in time and those people, and that's. So yeah, when
so your real name is not Oliver.
Christopher Anthony Lunsford is my real legal name, and so that's what's on like if you look up the songwriting.
Why did you decide to sing as Oliver Anthony?
Well, that's cool. Oh, this is fucking grandfather Joe Rogan. Are you listening? Are you listening, Joe Rogan? You know what I want? I want to be able to make enough money with my podcast and on this channel where I can hire an editor for this channel to do like clip work or something. That's what I want to do. Because it's just too goddamn much work, man. I can't be doing it all. You know, I do all the editing for my other channel with my wife, and I enjoy it. Now, don't get me wrong, but bro, it's a lot. You know, I will do we did a 4-hour podcast the other day. Why does this guy help me? Scram. Don't help me, pussy. We did a fucking 4-hour podcast on Sunday. I did that. I got to cut up the segments. I got to do all the thumbnails, and then I got to post all the segments for the fun. Then I got to listen to the entire podcast, and I got to pick out clips. I got 24 clips out of that fucking thing. I'm sitting there. I'm finding the clip moments that I'm editing. It just takes forever, dude. It makes my penis soft. Not hard. Makes it soft. So
just in
well, like I said, I just had the YouTube channel listed as Oliver Anthony Music. Just because like that's sort of the demeanor, or like I said, the character I was like that older Virginia style music. Like if you go on YouTube and you look up that type of music from back then, like those old recordings of people, like that's what I just love, that type of stuff.
Do you think you're gonna keep that name?
From Among Us.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people still call me Chris, and I've posted on social media, call me whatever. I mean, I've been called a lot worse than either of those things, but yeah, it'll stay Oliver Anthony Music indefinitely. Yeah, it's a special name. It's a special name to me, not only because it was my grandfather's name, but it's sort of like, to me, it reminds me of how different things were back then. But he was born Oliver Anthony, but everybody called him Anthony growing up, and so like he always thought his name was Anthony Oliver, and last name Engel. And so like it wasn't until he was in his 60s and going to retire, he realized that his name didn't match his birth certificate, so he had to actually change his legal name when he was in his 60s. But it's because
he thought his name was Anthony Oliver.
Yeah, and so
his whole life.
But his legal name was, and so it's and his parents named him. So it's just like, but all the paperwork back then was so scattered.
Damn, they fucking filled the paperwork out the wrong way. That's rough, man. That's rough.
Up because a lot of people were illiterate, and of course documents weren't tracked as well as they are now, you know. And so it's like
some still are.
There's people in the family that have a different spelling, and it's the same last name, but a few letters are different and stuff. But it's just kind of cool. Like, but he just.
I mean, I understand spelling one letter wrong, but a few different letters is fucking wild, man. That's crazy.
I thought that was crazy. He had to change his name when he was 65 so he could draw his retirement and all, because his Social Security and everything was under a totally different name. But,
that's fucking crazy.
So it's just special to me. He's like the only other one in the family like me. Most of our family's like average height, 6 feet and under, but he and I were both 6'6", redheaded, left-handed.
Oh, he's
like
tall as fuck.
I don't know. In a lot of ways, I thought it was special to kind of respect him. He passed away in 2019, and that's kind of when I guess that's when I first kind of adapted the name for the music. I didn't really get serious with anything until probably
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, until a couple weeks ago. Probably until I think I uploaded the first original. Like when I decided I was in it to win it, and I really wanted to make this thing happen. It was probably probably May of last year when I uploaded "Ain't Got a Dollar," or it might have been "Rich Man's Gold" was the first one I uploaded on YouTube. But that's when I decided, like, all right, I'm doing this thing. But yeah,
so you were just
we got $1 on the song. Hey, listen, that first $1 is beautiful. Oh my goodness, you start seeing pennies rolling in. Start seeing some dollars, some dollar signs when things go fucking pretty cool. I feel that.
We drinking too much and just procrastinating.
Yeah. And so like anxiety is definitely something that's underestimated. You know, I used to but I used to just not really understand when people talked about mental health and anxiety, because everyone gets stressed out over stuff, and so you think of anxiety as being just like this normal phenomenon everyone deals with, but your mind can really put you in a dark place to where that thing is just like it just holds on to you like and it just makes it very.
It's very interesting because I feel like a lot of the stuff that we deal with nowadays. A lot of the stuff, mental health struggles when it comes to people, religious people, when it comes to people with gender dysphoria, when it comes to, there's a lot of different ways in the real world where somebody is having an internal experience that they cannot prove. And it turns into so much discourse about whether that is a real experience or not, you know? Right? Because that's the same thing, whether it's your belief in God, or whichever God you believe in, or your belief that, like, you are, a different gender, or your mental health, and all these are valid, by the way. Like, you can't prove it, and I feel like so much of our discussion is like, I don't trust that you feel this way, and I get parts of it. There's kids on fucking TikTok saying that they have ADHD because they fucking lost track of time yesterday for an hour, and that's obviously dumb as fuck. But when you got a whole group of people saying like, "Hey, I have this internal experience, and it's a very meaningful thing to me," and it's like maybe we should start listening. And I feel like that's what a lot of mental health conversation is surrounded by.
Very difficult for you to do anything, and so I spent
first time you had a panic attack, you thought I was having a heart attack. I feel that first time I had a panic attack, it was fucking weird. I was like fucking hyperventilating. It was like, I think the only time I've ever had one, bro. It's scary stuff. I told myself, I said, you better stop being a goddamn pussy. I don't believe in mental health. I went to the gym that day, went away. That's why I listen to Andrew Tate. Doesn't exist. Just wasn't doing enough reps. Had to get a couple of reps in there.
These 2 years of my life, almost constantly just having what felt like just a knot right here, just wrenching at me.
Well, that's especially true for people that are pursuing a non-traditional life.
True.
You know, that doesn't have any guarantees. It's a wild life to try.
Bro, is my thing shut down, or is it just the servers? I think it's the WoW servers that are broken. Okay.
To be an entertainer, like to
it's WoW
choose
servers,
to
sure.
try to make it in this wild world of people that are singing
Wild,
and making songs, and you want people to pay attention to you. Like, do you know how many fucking people are singing?
Yeah.
How many people can sing? How many? Especially true.
Doing social media is such a bizarre experience. Somebody say something in the chat just so I know I didn't disconnect. But doing social media is such a fucking bizarre experience, man. Sometimes I think, like, why the fuck are any of you listening to me? Like, I sit here and I'm like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to talk about some of the dumbest goddamn shit today. And I got people sitting here, they're like, I want to hear what you have to say about some of the stupidest fucking things in the world. I'm like, wow, God bless you. I love you. Thank you so much, you know?
People are recording things, and now with YouTube and the like, how many people are putting stuff up on the internet for other people to enjoy? It's a lot.
Well,
the idea that you're going to stand out, so that you're filled with anxiety just because of that, because this future's uncertain.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of the anxiety came from me just feeling like I was running out of time.
Yeah. I feel that. All right. Well, you know, that was that segment. I wanted to kind of check in, do a little update. People were crying I didn't do the Anthony Fantano part, but more than anything else, I kind of wanted to see
it was just like one of those.
Shut up. I wanted to see what he had to say on Joe Rogan. So, cool.